Hello everybody and welcome. If you're hearing me talk now, you're probably watching on replay because it takes a minute or so to get everyone into the live. So welcome if you're watching on replay. Do comment, like, ask questions on the replay in the comments. Would love to hopefully help you with anything that you are thinking about today. I can see some people are joining in. Welcome, lovely to see you. I'm giving you a wave. Let me give you a wave on here as well. Welcome to this session. I'm just going to wait for a couple of people to join in before I properly get started. If you have just joined in, I see a few people there. Give me a little bit of an update. Tell me something that's given you a little bit of work joy today. Pop something in the comments for me while we wait for everyone to join in. Oh, thanks for the wave, Becky. Wave back. Welcome. Do pop something into the comments for me. What's giving you some work joy today? I'll tell you something that's given me some work joy today. One, started a new notepad. Always a little bit of work joy. Doesn't need to be anything complicated for me. Had a great workshop with some amazing people. We were talking all about careers and always love talking about that subject. Hi, Diane. Welcome. Lovely to see you here. So while I'm talking for a little bit, pop the things in. What's giving you some work joy today? Or if you've not had much, tell me something that's giving you some work gloom and I'll see what I can do to maybe turn that around for you. For anyone who's just joining who doesn't know me, I'm Beth Stallwood. I am the founder of Create WorkJoy, and every now and again I pop on here and do a live about some stuff that's in my brain to give people an update and to just really explain what's going on in the whole world of WorkJoy. So welcome. We love having you here. Please do comment. Please get involved. These sessions are always great when we have lots of people who are sharing and explaining what it is that they're up to. So my mission in life, sounds a bit serious that, doesn't it? I'm on a mission really to help people create and cultivate more joy in their working life, because work takes up so much of this big thing we call life. Why not get a little bit more joy into it? So that's the whole purpose. And there are many things that I'm trying to say be serious. And I've just seen Becky saying that my cat's giving me lots of work gloom today. She's seriously driving me nuts. She obviously just wants some attention or something. Oh, bless her. What about some work joy, Becky? There must have been something in there. But really what I'm warning about is we have this big thing called life, and work is a massive part of it. We work for so many hours a day, and I count work as anything where you have to make an effort to do it, to produce something. So for me, work includes housework and everything that might fit under the adulting pile, like paying bills and sorting stuff out and, ironing and all of that kind of stuff. It's all work, not just the job you get paid for or the job you volunteer at. There are so many things in life that are about work. What I want to do today, give you a bit of an agenda. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about some of the updates that are going on with the WorkJoy Jam, the podcast, and the WorkJoy Way, the coaching program. I want to talk to you about this subject, and I'm calling it going from your battered baggage and upgrading to your luxury luggage. Sounds quite fun, doesn't it? This is all about some thinking that I have and some ways that I've worked through some of those annoying stories that we tell ourselves that we then drag into the future with us. And I don't know about you, but I've got plenty of them that come from decades ago that are just utter rubbish. So that's what I'm going to try and help you with today. I've got a 4-step process for it. It's not guaranteed to work every time. I wouldn't never say that, but actually, hopefully it might help with a few things you might be thinking about. And then before we finish off, I want to give you an update on Club WorkJoy, the latest thing in the WorkJoy family. I want to tell you what's going on there, how you can get involved. And always lots and lots of time for Q&A. Becky's now put in she spent this morning creating audiograms, which gives me oodles of work joy. I'm glad it gives you lots of work joy. I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I was quite impressed myself today about how quickly I remembered how to go live on Instagram. That's about the level of my technical prowess. Not very good. So let me begin properly. Do keep sharing, do keep popping your comments in. Some updates for you. So if you have been listening, I hope you've been enjoying the WorkJoy Jam Season 2. we're actually nearly 2/3 of the way through. I got another 5 episodes or so left to do over the next few weeks. I've been really loving this episode. I've been listening along again, listening back to everything that's been said, and really enjoying the variety of people. Actually, it's been great to expand to new people who I've never met before and to see where they're at, get their perspective on WorkJoy. I've also very nearly finished recording season 3. I've got 10 episodes for you in season 3. They will be coming out from October right up until the end of the year. And again, some amazing people I've managed to cajole in to come and have a chat with me, a recorded chat to talk about all things WorkJoy. I've got people who are neuroscientists and psychologists. I've got people who are visual creators. I've got people who do things around fashion, but in the sense of for men's mental health. So an amazing array of speakers. We will be sharing them again with you soon, probably towards the end of September, so you can see who is coming up. But if you haven't already, go and listen to the WorkJoy Jam. You can do it. We've got the link on our link tree. You can also just search for it on whichever podcast technology you like to use, whether that's Apple or Google or Android, whatever it is that works for you. If you search WorkJoy Jam and then subscribe, it will then pop all of the latest episodes into your queue for you. I don't know if queue is the right word, but that's what I think of it as. And do remember, if you can, to rate it, to give us some feedback on it. We'd love to hear more. And I'd also, because I'm going to start recording season 4 soon. I can't quite believe it. A little thing that started about this time last year, thinking, should I do a podcast? And by the end of the year, we're going to have 40 episodes already done. So thinking about 2022, I'd love to know anybody you would like me to get on the podcast. We've been trying. Someone recommended Gareth Southgate. We've been trying. I think he might be a bit popular at the moment, but we'll see. We'll see where we can get to. I'd love to know any other ideas you have, any connections you have, anybody you would like to see there. So that's the WorkJoy Jam podcast. The second thing I just wanted to give you an update on is the WorkJoy Way coaching program. 16-week program. The spring cohort that started in April are on their final week this week. So week 16 of 16, and this week, after last week's final group session, they're all working on a reflection activity, which is called 20 questions, although it's totally misnamed. I'm going with it because it sounds good. It's actually 20 sentence starters, which helps them to reflect on what's happened over the last 16 weeks, where they want to go, what's next for them. And I often say at this point, people are often a little bit, oh, is it a bit sad? I'm a bit sad that it's, ending. Is that although the programme has ended, with me, once you're in my squad and I'm in your squad, we're just all part of it together from now onwards. So the 16 weeks helps you get somewhere, but it's not the entire thing. There is so much more support. There's still loads of connection with the group. We have a great WhatsApp group. There's been lots of questions going on for each other. And there's that real amazing collaboration that we get through the programme. So if you haven't heard of the WorkJoy Way before, go to the 16 weeks. You have 3 one-to-one coaching sessions with me. You have 4 group coaching sessions with the rest of the cohort. And in between those things, you have 7 solo experiments to do that will get you thinking, get you considering, get you reflecting, working on some things in between times. It's a really great program that can really help transform the level of joy, either in the job that you have now, one step, or to help you think about what do you want to do next. So many people come on the programme when they're at that kind of crossroads. It's what do I want to do? I'm not quite sure, or I'm not quite really enjoying my work as much as I was. Do I want to go somewhere? Do I want to stay? What do I need to do? And the progress this group has made has been absolutely amazing. And I've been so humbled and proud to help them and to be the person they've trusted on this amazing thing. And so many great stories to tell you, and we'll come and tell you some of those stories as we finish off the programme. I am hoping that one of them will come on my next live and talk about their experience as well. The next cohort, and I only do kind of 2 a year. I might do 3 next year. We'll see how the numbers go and how many people really want to get involved. The next cohort starts on the 1st of September. So in my head, that makes it just over 3 weeks away. Is that about right? 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And I have 2 spaces left. So we're nearly full on the cohort, which is amazing. I've got some incredible people, again, joining in for different reasons, different parts, different ages, different experiences. And the great thing about it is that everyone comes from a different organisation. So you get a really wide perspective and a really safe space to share some of those things. So if you're interested in finding out more, go to the website. You can see all the details on there. You can also book a call with me to talk it through. And one thing I always promise is, like, it's not a hard sales thing from me. If I'm not the right coach for you, I will tell you. I might be able to recommend someone else. If it's not the right program for you, I will tell you. It's not about that. It's all about, is this the right thing for you to help you get to where you need to go? So those are a couple of updates from me. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. I'm going to give you a little wave. You can see you're joining us here. Lovely to see you. Right, I'm going to take a sip of water, because I'm about to dive headfirst into this subject that I was going to talk about, which is going from some battered baggage to bringing yourself some luxury luggage. Sounds fantastic. I don't think I've used any luggage for a couple of years now. Be nice to get some nice stuff out. And I'm putting this under the heading of the stories we tell ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I certainly carry this. And I know almost everybody that I coach has some of these things as well. It's some really old stories that we have kept going with that become this battered baggage that we carry around with us. I'm going to give you a few examples, and then I'd love you to tell me some of your examples too. Here are a couple of mine. So the first one, this is one I addressed a few years ago, and it's a really interesting one. It was along the lines of, I'm not very good at maths. Okay, so some people may relate to that. I'm not sure if you do, but if you do, tell me. I'm not very good at maths. And that's some baggage to carry around with you if you always think you're not very good at maths. And I did some work on it, and I'm going to teach you a process you can work through, which is one I've spent many years working out, that kind of myth busted that a bit, and that worked into, actually, I'm not very good at what I would call GCSE level maths. I haven't really done much maths since then, in kind of the maths thing. And then I thought about, actually, what is the maths I actually need in my working life? So 20-something years later, from my GCSEs, what is it that I actually need in terms of maths? Well, I run a business, so what I need is in terms of finance. Am I only good at finance? We'll talk about some of these things. Another bit of baggage that I've been carrying around a little while, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you may have seen me writing about this the other day, is a little bit of a story that I have in my head, which is I'm not a writer. Really interesting one. And it really came to the fore. I did a writing course, which was amazing. And it came up when we were talking about what are some of the barriers we have. And those who have heard me speak before know that I'm trying to write a book. I say trying. I am writing a book about WorkJoy. And it's taking a little bit of time because I keep getting distracted by doing things like the coaching program, the podcast, and Club WorkJoy, which I'll tell you a little bit more about soon as well. And this was a story that I've been carrying around with me. I don't know where it started, but it's been carrying around for a little while. And again, it's one of those things that I'm not sure it's helping me. So this is a bit of baggage. It's a story that I'm telling myself. It's a story that's in my head that I'm not a writer. And I'm going to go through a process that says, actually, what does that really mean? How does that really work? And I'm going to give you another example, but not from me, but from somebody that I was on a course with once. So somebody I'd never met before. We were on a course in a room, sat next to each other on a table, right? In a room, on a table with other humans. For me, that seems a little bit like a dim, distant past. Sat next to each other, and we were on a course. I think it was, if I remember right, it was a course about some kind of style psychometric personality type testing stuff. And this person turned around and said to me, again, big bit of battered baggage, oh, well, I could never think about having that kind of career because I'm not very good with people. Which was a really interesting thing. And because I can't help myself, like I'm a trained coach, whenever something like that comes up, I'm going to talk about it and find out where that comes from. And for this particular person, it had come very early in their career. One person who was more senior than them had given them some feedback that they didn't think they were very good with people. And from that moment on, the next 10, 20 years of their career, they had always avoided actively doing anything to do with people. Really interesting. And I sat there and I thought, I'm going to say something. Again, not very good filtering. But I thought, I'm going to say something to this person because I have sat next to this person all day. They have made all the things that you would usually expect people who are good with people to do. Great eye contact, good conversation, asked questions, listened, had good body language, lent in, was really interesting, was really curious. And I was like, where does that come from with you? So we explored it a little bit and we found out that actually it was from this one person who was more senior, who was kind of one of those overbearing type characters, had said to this person that this was the truth. And they'd taken it as one person's bit of feedback to take everything. So sometimes the stories we tell ourselves come from within us. And sometimes the stories we tell ourselves actually come from other people. And many of you know I am slightly obsessed with feedback. I'm obsessed with giving it, getting it, learning from it, using it in a really good way. Some people are not very good at giving feedback in the right way. And some people, when we're hearing some of that feedback, we take it so literally and we believe that everybody has the right to tell us exactly who we are and that is how we should take it. And this person had done that. And for so much of their career, they had avoided stuff that they could potentially be awesome at. Who knows? They didn't do it because of the feedback of one person. So there's something there about kind of digging back in and understanding where these stories come from. Are they things we've created ourselves? Where do they go? So, Sarah. Book is brewing. That's a lovely way to think about it. It just said I paused for a moment. Sarah, book is brewing. I love the way brewing is a great word to think about it. It needs time. It needs all the different ingredients. Love it. I can't wait, Sarah, to see what your book is about. So what I thought I'd do is with those 3 examples is to take you through a really simple 4-step process. I never do more than 4 because it's just too complicated in my own little brain. And here are the 4 steps. So first step is myth busting. The second step is a stage that I call from. The third step is to, and the fourth step is towards. So one of the things that I know for sure is it's really hard to go from an old story to a new story, to go straight there. It doesn't really work like that. We have to kind of take some steps to convince our brain to nudge it towards a new story. So let me take one of these stories. Here we go. I'm going to do it really simply. Story 1, I'm not very good at maths. Let's bust some myths. Myths and busts? Doesn't quite work that way. Bust some myths here. So let's work out the facts from the things that are not true. And maybe there's some stuff in between there. But if I take that, what are the facts that I have in mind? The facts that I have in mind are I found maths at school quite difficult. I didn't find it quite as difficult as science, but that's something I have decided that I do not need to get involved in. And if you ever want to have a dinner party conversation with me or have a funny chat about me, about that conversation I had with my husband probably a couple of months ago now, which has been put on ice because I can't deal with it in my brain, is how the sun and the moon can be up in the sky at the same time. Now, I missed out on some solar system knowledge when I was at school, probably because I was at a music lesson at the same time, because that's what I tended to do in science lessons. And I don't understand it. And I've put it on ice because I said to him what I need him to do is to get like a model of the solar system and explain it all to me in physical, practical terms, because I don't get it. Becky is laughing at me. I don't understand it, don't get the solar system, and I probably need to, but I've kind of parked that. But let's talk about maths for a moment. So I didn't enjoy it at school. But there's a fact here. I actually didn't do that badly at my GCSEs with it. There's also another fact here, like a really good fact. I don't need to ever take a maths GCSE ever again. What do I need to do? So there's some facts here. What do I need to do? I need to be able to understand my finances in my business. I need to be able to send invoices. I need to be able to work out if something doesn't look right. I need to be able to look at my own bank account. None of these things are things that we were taught at school. They're not like Pythagoras' theorem or anything like that. It's actually arithmetic and finance. So another fact I have is when I did my master's, I had to take a whole module in finance. And that, to me, finance equals maths. I know there's going to be some purists out there who say, no, it doesn't, Beth. But finance is the type of maths I need right now. Not the type of maths I needed when I was, only 20-something years ago, when I was at school doing it. That's not the maths I need. And actually, here we go. Here's a fact to disprove the myth of I'm not very good at maths. I did really well. I think I got a merit at master's level on a finance exam, finance for business. I'm like, actually, that's a better fact. So that's me doing some myth busting. What are the facts? What are some of the things that aren't facts? So we then go from, and I might go from, I don't enjoy maths, or I didn't enjoy maths at school. So we've got a negative from, and that's kind of like 2A. What's the negative from? So the position I'm going from is I don't like maths, or I'm not very good at it, or I wasn't very good at maths at school. So that is a fact. I'm going to try and turn that into a positive. So my positive might be, for the maths that I need, I do okay at it. The positive might also be, I've got other people that I can outsource that to, like accountants who are great at it. And one of my core beliefs is let's go for strengths-based. Work with what you're good at wherever you can. Outsource the other stuff. I can work that happen. So that's the from. You might go from a from that's a negative to a from that's a positive. I don't like really the negative stuff. We want to turn it into a positive. Then you go to step 3, which is the 2. And that might be something like, I'm good enough at maths. I'm good enough. And good enough for me is good enough. But you might also work towards something bigger. So I might be saying, I'm trying to head towards, I'm confident with the maths I need to do. So from good enough to feeling confident. So that's where you're really heading to in the long term. But it's really hard to go from the myths you're telling yourselves all the way to the future. Becky's now saying you put it on ice. Yeah, I did. Chris is probably laughing at this right now. So that's one version. Let's take a second version. You might all have some of these versions as well. Sarah, positive and negative, getting a bit sciencey. Yeah, I mean positive in like language. I can do language, I could do English, can do drama, I can do music. Could probably do a bit of business studies. Not that I ever studied that. Maths, science. I think my science teacher would definitely agree that it was not my strongest subject. Let's take a second example. So let's take that I'm not a writer. So, I'm not a writer is rubbish. So if I look at the myths in that, people hire me to write stuff for them. Does that mean I'm not a writer? No, of course it doesn't. I write scripts for training that I deliver. I write guides for organisations to help inspire, engage, train their people. I write stuff for myself. I am writing a book. And I think this comes down to, and I'm doing the myth busting, what I had as a very narrow definition in my head exists nowhere else, just in this little box here, of what a writer actually is. And what I came to with this is that I'm not an author yet. So if you haven't read it, read and look up Carol Dweck and Growth Mindset. She always talks about putting yet onto the end of that sentence. I'm not an author yet. That is a fact. But I am actually a writer. But I find it really hard to go from my baggage to my luxury luggage of I am a writer. So again, myth bust. There are 1,000,001 reasons why I am a writer. There's one that I'm not an author. So put the power of yet in. So I might go from the negative language, I'm not an author. I might put a yet on it, which turns it into something that's a bit more able to get there. What I then might do is say, how do I go from that as a negative to that in a positive zone is I am writing a book. Maybe I could use the language that Sarah, I'm brewing a book. What is it that I'm doing there? Then I could go towards more the factual, keep it light, keep it in the right zone, is that I could probably say something like, I write engaging stuff for businesses to help their people. Factual, that's some of the work that I do. That's what people pay for, that's why they hire me to do that stuff. And I might then move towards it being less about the facts and more about me and saying that I'm a writer of these things. So not I write, but I am a writer of these different areas. So that takes it through those. I'm going to do one more example. Hopefully you're not bored of this yet. Yeah, Becky's saying the power of yet. Busting the myths. Facts, truth, separate them. Some of them might be true, but what's the actual underneath bit of that truth? What's really sitting underneath it? Is it feedback you've had from somebody that you wouldn't go and ask advice of? Because if it is, you don't have to take it. You do not have to listen to every single piece of feedback you have ever got and take it as the truth about yourself. See how that gets you. So let's take this example of the person who'd taken that feedback as truth. So some myth busting. Fact, one person had given this feedback. Fact, that had affected how they felt about themselves and their ability to do the people stuff for many, many years. Which also meant they hadn't practiced it. So they didn't know whether they could be any good at it because they hadn't ever considered it was an opportunity. So they worked on the negative being, I'm not very good at people stuff. And we turned that into, actually, I don't know if I'm very good at people stuff because I haven't practiced it. Then turned that into, I'm curious to learn about whether I'm good at people stuff. To more of a, I can be good at people stuff. Here are some examples of where I'm good at people stuff. Towards that bigger picture where people want to get to, which was, I'm actually really confident and good at my people stuff. But you can't go from, seriously, try and do this in your head. Just try and do it now. Could you go from believing for 20 years that you're no good at people stuff to saying out loud, I'm brilliant at people stuff? It's just an unrealistic thing to expect of yourself. And it probably means you're going to fail at the first hurdle. If I try and say to people now, I'm a writer, I still don't believe it. So you have to go through a process of knowing it, then to a process of believing it. And that's why I think those 4 steps work really well. And the first thing to do is always to myth bust. And if you need someone to talk that out with you, that can be really helpful because other people will see it from a different perspective. So see who might be able to help you, somebody from your squad, someone from work, trusted friend, family member. I talk this stuff out about science and stuff with Chris all the time, and it gives him immense amounts of joy to laugh at me about how little I know about science. I tried to get him to explain photosynthesis to me the other day, and I was like, I clearly missed out on that whole stuff. It didn't go into my more artistic brain. Am I curious? Yeah, I want to learn more about that stuff now because I'm trying to have flowers and stuff in the garden. It helps to know how they work. So that's some things to think about. Myth busting, really important. Hi Pam, welcome along. Diane saying, so true, feedback can stay with us for so long. Really hard to turn it into a positive, but so worth it. It can unlock so much. And here's the thing, it totally can unlock so much. So here's the thing about me working on the writing thing. I'm still working on it. I'm probably at the to stage, not the towards stage yet. And I've been working on it for about 4 months. It actually doesn't take that long. And if I were to ask other people to get that feedback, but to get it from a broader perspective than the silly little voices that go on our head. I think Brené Brown calls it the psycho parrot that sits on your shoulder and tells you all of these stories that just aren't true. So what I'd love you to do now is, I can see a few people on here. Hi Pam, welcome. Hi Diane, I can see Sarah, I can see Becky. I would love you to tell me, I'm not going to go through it with you live or anything, but I'd just love to know if you've got some of these things that are going on in your head. What are some of the bits of baggage that you're carrying around, that you have been carrying around for a little while or for years? And it's you are no longer, I have to tell myself, I am no longer a 16-year-old sitting maths GCSE. Thankfully. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't know what I was doing. So you are not that person anymore. You have changed a million times since then. You are more grown up. You are more mature. You have read more books. You have learnt more things. You have become an expert in things. You're still a novice at other things because you can't be good at everything. And I think that's one thing that I really learnt at school, which I've had to really rewire in my brain. Thank you, Sarah, for using that phrase, is that you do not have to be good at everything. And I think at my school, there was this expectation that you would be just as good at science as you would be at art, as you would be at drama, as you would be at English, trying to create this thing. And here's the thing, we're not all good at everything. And I firmly believe in find where the joy is in what you do, build your strengths, find that thing, what you're good. If you can do the work, which is what you're good at, and what gets you joy, and fuse those together in your working world, then you are on to a really good thing. What we sometimes do is we find stuff we're good at. Like, weirdly, I'm quite good at spreadsheets. I should put that on my Mythbuster. I'm actually quite good at spreadsheets. I mean, not at an advanced level. I make them look really beautiful. I make them really practical. I can put basic formulas and stuff in. So I would say for me, that's pretty good at a mathsy type thing, a spreadsheet. But it brings me absolutely no joy. I have to put the colours in there to bring it a little bit of joy, to actually make me do it. And so often we get filtered into a lane of a job because we're good at it, regardless of whether we enjoy it. And then there's other things on the other side of it where we're not very good at it, but we really, really enjoy it. So I would take things from me like, I'm not very good at playing the piano, but I really enjoy doing it. It gives me amazing headspace. It's kind of my yoga instead of yoga. So that's something I'm not very good at, but I really love it. And then in your working world, if you can bring those things together, things you're good at, things you enjoy doing, fuse them together in a job or in a role or in the things that you do, that's where you can get loads of joy from. But you are unlikely to find that if something is really holding you back, like this 10-ton baggage you've got holding along, when what you really need is a really fancy little wheelie case that you can bring along with you that's got all your skills in it. So tell me, people, pop it into the chat. What are some of the things that are in your baggage? What have you got that's a bit battered and old, that's a story you've told yourself that you could do with getting rid of? I'm just going to do that. Sarah, working through a bit of writing myth busting as well. Sarah, I feel like you and me should have a proper chat because we could probably help each other with this. Sometimes it's good to have a chat with someone who feels the same thing and to be able to work through that myth busting. And I think even I've heard this from people who are what I would call professional writers, who would fit into my very narrow description that I'm trying to widen out about writers, who feel very similar things. They would say, I don't really think I'm very good at writing because writing is quite subjective, isn't it? Some people might give you a bad review. Some people might not like the way you write. Might depend on who your audience is. All of those kind of things. So yeah, Sarah, Becky, redundancy myth busting. Oh yeah, it was my role, not me personally, the company wanted rid of. I think this is one of the biggest ones I find, Becky, when people are being made redundant, is there is a difference between you as an individual being made redundant and the role being made redundant. And you need to think about it, it's the role, it's not personal. The challenge with that is it feels personal. However, and I used to work in HR, I sat at the other side of the table on this stuff. I've also been made redundant a couple of times in my career. Both times led to better things, is all I can say. And I think many people find that it does, is it feels personal, however good the people sitting on the other side of the table are at giving it. It feels personal because our work is deeply personal. It's deeply associated with who we are. It's so related to our identity. If you think about it, so many times when we introduce ourselves, we'll introduce what we do at work before we introduce anything about who we are in our real lives. So consider that. And I think that is a really good way of thinking about that, Becky, is some myth busting around it. And actually myth busting about anything is useful. So what I'm going to go on to next. Hopefully that's helpful. So 4 steps. Actually, one thing I did want to say, Nicola put on my LinkedIn comments that she'd love to think about if you're a manager helping somebody through some myth busting or through this process of working through the story to tell yourself some of your baggage. Here are some of the things that you can do. Same 4 steps, but first of all, you have to uncover what the story is. So you might have an assumption from looking inwards to a person that they have a story in their head, but you probably don't know how that story comes out. What's the narrative that's being played over and over again? What's the soundtrack of that story? Investigate that a bit more. And you need to understand what it is that they tell themselves. What are the words they're using and where does it come from? So in the example that I used about the person that I've been working with at a course, that had come from one very specific bit of feedback. And it gave us permission to bust the myth because it only came from one person. And I always say, and I think this is some great advice, and I cannot remember who originally said this. So it is not my quote. It's don't ask people for feedback, don't ask people for feedback people who you wouldn't go to advice for. And this person would not have gone to advice for that person. They didn't trust them. They weren't in their inner circle. The feedback wasn't delivered in a good way. It wasn't put in context, but it was taken so very deeply. So you need to find out that stuff first as a manager. Explore it, ask questions, think about some of those coaching things, dig it out, understand where it comes from, and then work through those 4 steps. So let me remind you of steps. Myth busting. What are the facts? What's not true? What are some of the things that might be true, depending on which way you look at it? Then think about the from. And if you can go from a negative and turn it into some positive language, that's really helpful. 2 is then let's create a new version of a narrative, which is positive, that's factual, but quite light. So it's about the knowing stage. Like, I know this is true. And then you work on the towards stage, which is the bigger goal, which is the new narrative, which is the luxury luggage you want to be bringing with you. And that can be a bigger statement and more about who you are as a person. It can be more personal, it can be bigger. So 4 steps, but you probably need a pre-step if you're not doing this for yourself, you're helping with other people, which is to uncover where the story comes from and what that narrative is, what that soundtrack is, and how it impacts what you do or what you think or how you behave. So try that one, Nicola. That's for Nicola Stallwood. No relation, we don't think. But yeah, hopefully that will help you. So one more thing to talk about, which is around Club WorkJoy. And if you've been following Create WorkJoy, if you've been following me, you'll have heard me talk a little bit about this. I'm going to reveal a little bit more today around what's going to happen here. So Club WorkJoy is going to be an incredible community of people who are all from different organisations, different backgrounds, different careers, different experiences. And it's going to be a community where people are wanting to cultivate more joy in their working life. Really simple. It's a group thing. It's a membership group. And what we're going to have within our membership group is every month I've got lined up for next year some amazing speakers, thinkers, people who will inspire you, who will get you thinking across all different types of subjects. I'm not going to tell you who just yet, but we've got things on mental health, creating that really good baseline for joy. We have got people who are going to talk about how do you understand your values, which I know for so many people is a really great starting point on your journey towards getting more joy. We've got people who are going to talk about writing, so many different subjects. And these will be all done digitally via Zoom. There'll be a chance to talk to those people, and to interact, not to just hear from them. So I'm really excited about those. Every other month, we will have facilitated networking where you can get to talk to different people. We'll do that on some subjects. We'll get you to help build your squad, to help build your network with people you probably would never meet other than within this membership group. And we are also going to have every week, I'm going to do a Q&A, and you'll be able to ask me anything and I will either write you an answer or I will pop on a video and give you an answer. I can't tell you whether my answers will be complete because I don't know what you're going to ask me and I'm not an expert in everything. Oh, that's something we all have to admit sometimes. But I will do my best to be able to answer all of those questions for you. And we will also have an app. So the app will be kind of a little bit like a Facebooky type thing, but not on Facebook, where you can sign up to the events, you can ask me questions, you can connect with each other, we can ask some questions, we can do some polls, that kind of thing. So there's going to be an app. It's nearly ready, so I'm quite excited to see that come to life. And up until probably last year, I'd have been like, I don't want to do anything with technology. And now I'm busting that myth, and actually technology can be really useful if it's for the right purpose and if it works. So we're just working through all of the tech, all of them, making sure it all works for everybody. You'll be able to access things like discounts for coaching with me and other things. And I just think it's going to be a really cool, I'm really excited about it. I've been working on it for months now and it's going to come out in September. I don't know the exact launch date, but if you want to be in the group of people who get an early access to it and who get a discount, if you're one of my fantastic early birds, a kind of first adopter of it, if you go onto the website now, createworkjoy.com, on the menu bar, there is Club WorkJoy, and it just says sign up here, and that will get you in early with a special discount from me. So that will get you in before anyone else even sees it, before it goes live. And I would love you all to sign up. I am super excited, because one of the things I truly believe is that getting more WorkJoy is about collaborating, getting ideas, getting different perspectives. And I think this will be a great way to make it happen, and a great way to connect with other people. Thanks, Diane. I can't wait either. I'm really, really excited. So that's Club WorkJoy. I'll share more. If you sign up, you'll also get our newsletter, which I'm going to share more information. And I will share things like who our speakers are, and how things are going to work. So some of those events will be in the evening, some of them will be at lunchtime. So hopefully we'll be able to come to many of them. If you can't come along to the live events, they will be recorded and they will go on the app, so you can go back and watch them as well. So you will never, ever miss out. So I've been chatting to you for like 40 minutes now. You're probably all a bit like, oh, I want to go and have some dinner now, or I'm ready for this to end. So I'm going to say that's it from me. That's all I wanted to talk about. So a little bit of an update, thinking about taking some of that battered baggage and turning it into some luxury luggage via some routes on the way, those 4 steps. A little bit about Club WorkJoy. And now, open the floor. Questions, thoughts, comments. Go for it. I'm going to take a drink and let you do some typing. Any questions? Takes a little while on there getting through to see if there's anything that comes up here. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Lovely. Can't wait. Maybe we should have a chat. Tay's just joined. Welcome. We're just finishing off, Tay, but hopefully you can go back and see what we were talking about. I will load the video. Can't see any other questions, thoughts coming through. So I hope this was in some way useful. If you don't do anything else, just do a little bit of myth busting about the stuff that you tell the stuff you tell yourself, the stories you tell yourself. See what's there and see where it could lead you to. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I'm going to pop this on to the platforms so that you can rewatch it if you've joined later and you want to go back and have a little watch. Please do. If you have questions after watching, on whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, put your questions in the comments on that post once you've rewatched, and I can reply to you from there. So we'd love to hear from you. So thank you all. A couple of things to remember. Sign up for Club WorkJoy on createworkjoy.com for early access and discounts. Oh, exciting. You'd be a founding member. Very exciting. Second one is, if you are looking for some help, some support, some guidance around where you're at, if you're at a crossroads, if you want to go from feeling a bit meh to feeling like, yay, ready for 2022, because that's what the autumn cohort's going to do. Starting on the 1st September, we finish just before the end of the year. You will go through a 16-week program to then be transformed, feeling amazing about yourself and about your career and everything that you want to feel good about, ready to start next year with like great energy. Starting on the 1st September, I've got 2 spaces left. Come and have a chat with me if you want to do those things. So thank you all very much. I will see you all soon. I think 2 weeks' time, we've got our next live booked in, and I'm going to see if I can get one of the people who has just completed the WorkJoy way to come and talk to you a little bit more about their experience. So thank you very much, and I will see you all soon.